The Carolina Hurricanes lose in double overtime to the New York Rangers, go 2 down in the series to a double dagger in double overtime.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Wednesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you to the Everydayer for making this your first listen today, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, talking everything about your Carolina Hurricanes. I'm your host, Zach Martin. I am the Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hockey Writers. I am also part of the Calder Times, talking about AHL action on those side of things, and I'm also the co-host of the Surge Cast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all of my other duties here at Locked On Hurricanes. Welcome, like I said, to a Wednesday show where it's going to be nothing about reacting to Game 2 of the Carolina Hurricanes Round 2 matchup against the New York Rangers. Before we get to everything that did happen in Game 2, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONAHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So like I said, this whole episode is just going to be nothing about reacting to Game 2 and what was a double overtime feature between the Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Rangers that saw a lot of different things happen in this game. We're going to have to start it off. Vincent Trocheck, former Hurricane, ends it in double overtime off of a deflection. There's nothing you can do about that. You just right place, right time for him. Off of Mika Zibanejad, it was a power play goal. It's one of those things where special teams comes and haunts the Hurricanes once again, like we saw in Game 1. The Hurricanes went 0 for 5 on the power play in Game 1, and in Game 2, they went 0 for 5 again. Back-to-back games. This is probably the toughest stretch for the Hurricanes in terms of just anything on the power play. 0 for 10. I mean, you can't be in a stretch like that. And the fact that you look at last game where, the fifth power play ended super short, by a penalty from Andrei Svechnikov. Same thing happened in Game 2, another power play that ended short of an Andrei Svechnikov penalty. And it's to the point now, there was a stretch going from Game 1 into Game 2 where you had 3 straight power plays end within under a minute. The last one, Andre got a penalty 2 seconds into the power play. First one in Game 2, same thing, ends it super quick with another penalty, and then a minute left into the second power play, and you get another penalty. It's one of those things where you're shooting yourselves in the foot in terms of you're ending your power play chances early. And that's what happened to the Hurricanes for 3 straight, and now you're looking down at a 0 for 10. I don't know what more you can say to that. You can't go for 0 for 10 on the power play, especially when you have the second best power play in the entire league, and now it's gone stone cold. It's tough. It's tough because if you get that many opportunities and you can't capitalize, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you're maybe getting one shot on a power play, maybe 2, and it's a tough look. It's a tough look when you had the second best power play unit in the entire league, like I said, and now it's not there. And I mean, penalty kill. I mean, they did stop 5, so there is that. The Hurricanes did stop 5 power play chances for the Rangers, but the Rangers did get 2. The Rangers went 2 for 7 on the power play, and the last 2 goals for the Rangers were both power play goals. And that's the thing where it's like, Chris Kreider scores in the third, ties the game. Vincent Trocheck in double overtime wins it on that one. And, it's one of those things, man. You go 5 for 5 to start the game, and then you end it 2 for 7. It's tough. It's tough. You've given up 4 power play goals in 9 chances to the Rangers. You're almost talking 50% for the Rangers on the power play. Hurricanes are 0 for 10. It's one of those things where you got to hope you turn it around. it's one of the you just can't have a power play go ice cold and then expect to win games and to do anything like that. And it's tough. It's tough. And you're not trying to pile on the team or anything like that, but something has to be worked out between Tuesday night's game going into Thursday night when you're back home for game 3 in Carolina. Got to take advantage of the opportunities around. The Hurricanes are doing it, and the fact that the Rangers, like I said, they've scored 4 power play goals in 9 total chances between the 2 games. You're a tad under 50%. Letting them score. The PK the PK can only do so much. Yeah, it was a deflection for the last goal, but they'll ask you how, they ask how many. And right now, power play units out there. I mean, the PK can only do so much, but when you're taking 7 penalties in a game, like we're all used to very limited penalties. This series has a lot of them, and right now they're not capitalizing. And it's when you're mismatching the power play units where you're taking guys off, like where you're taking Brady Shea off, you're throwing Tony DeAngelo in, you're missing guys that need to be there, like Jake Guentzel before the game, undisclosed, healthy scratch, last minute. You get Max Comtois coming into the game, and then you lose Kuzi on the power play PP2 line. There's guys that are playing under 10 minutes in the game. We'll talk about that later on in the episode. But it's like I said, the power play, it's just the special teams units right now are not doing it for the Hurricanes. And you see how the Rangers were 3rd in power play and penalty kill. They can shut it down. They did it again. Of course, the Hurricanes are kind of hurting themselves right now. When you have 57 shots in a game and you have 5 power play chances and you score on none of them, granted, like I said, there was one that ended super quick on another on a penalty, and then another one that ends with a minute left. You can't be doing that. You can't be doing it to the Rangers, and we just saw it in round 1 of what the Rangers did to the Capitals, and they're doing it right now to the Hurricanes, and it's tough. It's just an overall tough look. I mean, when the Hurricanes have 57 shots, over almost close to 110 shot attempts like they did against the Islanders back in round 1. The Hurricanes even had 40 blocked shots. The outblocked shots against the Rangers, who only had 27. The Hurricanes did a heck of a job in the faceoff dot. They won 50 faceoffs. They lost 44 to the Rangers. Outshot them, outblocked them, got them in the faceoffs. Hits, Rangers were leading 34-24, but overall, it's like you go up 2-1 after 1, you're up 3-2 after 2, you're feeling good, and then the Rangers score 2 unanswered, and now you're leaving New York down 2-0. Granted, yes, you lost both of these games to one. Both of these were 1-goal games. Both of them 4-3. One was in regulation. One was in double overtime. And it's a hole, but it's not a massive hole. This team can keep it close. They can get back in the series. It's just right now, 5-on-5 play is right now the biggest thing for the Hurricanes. And just taking all these penalties, like I said, they've only taken 9 penalties, but 7 in one game. That's a lot. That's a lot to be in a box, and you're taking yourself out of a flow because you're just you're playing shorthanded so much in a game. 16 minutes. You're playing 16 minutes of basically 14 because offsetting. So you're talking 14 penalty minutes where you're shorthanded. It's tough. You can't do that. And right now, unless the power play gets figured out in the PK, like I said, went 5 for 7. You'll take it, but it's not great. And it's one of those things where gotta stop taking penalties. I have to. Andrei Svechnikov is one of them. Andrei Svechnikov needs to stop taking penalties. He's getting way too many. I know some might be ticky-tack, but a lot of these are legit. Someone's got to figure the discipline's got to be there for the Hurricanes. And, Rod Brind'amour wants these guys to play discipline. And right now, it's just, I know it's getting feisty between both teams, but right now, it's not working. The feistiness is not working for the Canes, and it's killing them right now. And that's where you're at. Well, and I talk about the new, plus minus for special teams. And right now, yeah, you went 0 for 5. See, you kind of went even for the most part. You went 0 for 5 on the power play, but you did go 5 for 7 on the penalty kill. So are you even, or are you -2 because of the fact that, yeah, at this point you're -2 on special teams. The going 5 for 7 on the PK and 0 for 5 kind of evens itself out, but you also did give 2 power play goals up. So you're -2 in the special teams at that point. It's tough. I mean, I don't know more Freddie Anderson can do in that. And we'll talk about, a lot more into, how the Hurricanes did in terms of points-wise, time on ice, and all that stuff here on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and lower price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. The thing I like about Game Time is the fact with your last-minute tickets, flash deals, and even zone deals. It's something you can really take advantage of it. Also, views from your seat in the venue itself. In terms of last-minute deals, you can actually save up to 60% off buying last-minute just for sports, concerts, comedy theaters, and etc. And when you talk about deals, they have some flash deals where you can save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or even event, and even more so with their zone deals. You can save even more when you choose a section and you let the Game Time app choose the seats for you. And you want to talk about, seats in general. They have a great seat view option where you get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know what you're looking at even before you get to the venue itself. And with the fact that with Game Time app, it's the lowest price guarantee, or the Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONAHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONAHL. That's LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time today. Last minute ticket, lowest prices guaranteed. There's no I in team, but there is one in Indeed, and that's the hiring platform you need to build yours. When you're hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's powerful hiring platform that can help you do it all. We streamline hiring with powerful tools that find you match candidates. With Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed Data US. One of the things I like about Indeed is the fact that it makes hiring all in one place so easy, because candidates you invite to apply are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in a search, according to US data. Even better, Indeed's the only job site where you can only pay for applications that meet your must-have requirements. Indeed is an unbelievably powerful hiring platform, delivering 4 times more hires than all our job sites combined, according to TalentNet 2019. Start hiring now with $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/lockedon. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/lockedon. Once again, that's Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. So kind of talked about in the first segment about what was the biggest story in terms of what you're looking at in game 2, and that was the special teams, where the power play was once again over 5. Penalty kill didn't do a terrible job. Like I said, they went 5 for 7, so you can take that as much as you want. Now the thing to really dive into is who kind of stood out for the Hurricanes in game 2. And, Jake Guentzel, everyone's wondering, he went through the first round, had a goal, but it was an empty netter. And you had 4 points, and you were wondering, will Jake Guentzel in the playoffs shine? Where is the guy that, gets a point per game and stuff like that? And you saw that in game 2. He scored 2 goals. They were pretty huge, and that's what, it kind of got the Hurricanes flowing, where, he scored his first goal in the first period to get to tie the game, and then, was able to, jump out a little bit farther for the Hurricanes, and you're going into second intermission, you're up 3-2. You'll take it. The Rangers tie it. Guentzel, gets them a lead once again, and you'll take that any day of the week where you see a guy like him be able to score the 2 goals that you need. And another guy you really look on is Sebastian Aho. 3 assists. Like, have a night, Sebastian. Yeah, despite the Hurricanes did lose that game, there's nothing you can say wrong about Sebastian Aho. He got 3 assists. I don't know what more you can really want out of the guy who, got the primary assists on the first Jake Guentzel goal, got the secondary assists on the Dmitry Orlov goal, and he got the primary assist again on the second Jake Guentzel goal. First, it's one of those things where Sebastian Aho can find a way to, make his presence felt, but also, do it quietly. And that's kind of what he did. And if you want to look at the player of the game, it's got to be, Sebastian Aho. Yes, I would even say Jake Guentzel. If you want to go 1A, 1B, it'd be those 2 guys. A combined 5 points for your top line. Andrei Svechnikov did get an assist, so you got 6 points for your top line, but 2 guys had 5. Sebastian Aho with 3 assists, Jake Guentzel with 2 goals. There's nothing much more you can ask out of that. The other guys who got points, Dmitry Orlov got a goal. His was a tip. Jake Guentzel's goal and one of the Jake Guentzel goals and Dmitry Orlov goal were both tip-ins. Great job for getting through net front and being able to, deflect it in. Net front was there early for the Hurricanes, and it kind of just didn't really – it kind of faded away. You didn't really see it very much for the rest of the game. And that's tough. You saw that it was something that was working, and it just kind of faded away, and against the Rangers, you need net front. We saw in the power play they did a lot of perimeter stuff. Got to crash the net. You got to get that net front presence because you saw in game 1, a lot of the goals were net front. You got to do it against the Rangers right now. The perimeter stuff is not working. It's really not. And I think the Hurricanes really need to start crashing the net, really starting in the net front, because that's what worked from game 1 and most of game 2. Other guys get points. Brady Shea, initial shot. That was the Dmitry Orlov tip. Great job by him on that one. Tony DeAngelo did get an assist. His assist came on. He was a secondary to the Jake Guentzel's second goal, which was the last goal for the Hurricanes in the game. Freddie Anderson, what more can you say about the guy? He in the overtime, he stood on his head. Once again, giving up 4 goals again. There was one that you could put on him for, not collecting the rebound. Overall, Freddie's not playing bad. He's really not. It's just, it's tough when the team gets a lot of opportunities to get on the power play. There's not much you can do when they're not scoring, and you're facing a lot of chances too. He 39 shots against. 39 shots against. He let 4 in. He had a .897 save percentage. I think it's been a while since we've seen a save percentage under 90. I don't know what more you can say about Freddie. There's nothing you can do about that. He gave up 4 goals, but you're talking going to double overtime. Just like in round 1 where he gave up 3 in a double overtime game against the Islanders. I don't know what more you can really ask out of that. It's tough. It's tough for sure. It makes you wonder who's going to be in net for game 3. Freddie's played all 7 games for the Hurricanes this postseason. Pyotr Kochetkov on Thursday, he would have been 3 weeks and 4 days since his last start, and that was April 14th against the Blackhawks, the second to last game of the season. It's kind of the end of the point where it's like you love Freddie, but it's almost time you kind of want to think, okay, maybe time to give him a break. I know you're down 0-2. He's played really well in the playoffs, but maybe go to Pyotr Kochetkov in game 3. Maybe see, give him some chance. Maybe see what he can do. Like I said, nothing against Freddie. He's been playing well, but at this point, nothing wrong with going to Pyotr. Just at least give him a shot. At least let see how he does in the playoffs. Because as of Tuesday night, he's 3 weeks and 2 days, and by the time we hit tomorrow for Thursday, it's gonna be 3 weeks and 4 days. At some point, you gotta give him a shot and see what he can do, and stuff like that. But in terms of plus minus, Bray Shea, not a bad night for Bray Shea in the plus minus. He has a +4. Oh, sorry, not +4. He had Bray Shea had a +3. So good job to him. Sebastian Aho, Andrei Svechnikov, Guentzel, and Tony DeAngelo all had +2s. A few guys had 0s, and then Chatfield, Burns, Max Comtois, Martinuk, Slavin, Kotkaniemi, Martinich was a lot of -1. That's all you can really say in terms of the plus minus. I mean, talking about penalty minutes, Bray Shea had 4 penalty minutes, and Andrei Svechnikov had 4 as well. It's the only other thing I can really talk about in terms of the players before we really dive into time on ice stuff and just kind of thinking about like what we saw for the last, even through overtime and stuff like that, is Jacob Trouba. That attempted Superman hit on Martinich. Thank goodness Marty ducked. Thank goodness he slid down and ducked under that hit, because you see it on the slow-mo, like real time it was scary when it was fast. But you look at the slow-mo, just from the side angle, way Trouba goes in and he just goes face first in the boards. It's like, wow, okay, that's a huge impact. Then you look from behind Trouba and you see him skate right towards Nietzsche. Just the fact that you see him go up, goes into a Superman, and you see his elbow fly up. He was going elbow first. I know a lot of people are going to be like, I don't know what you can say. I don't know how you can defend that. It's not crying. It's not anything else like that. All over social media, I've seen a lot of people say that is a scary incident, and it's a good thing that Martinich has ducked. Because if Trouba connects on that flying elbow like that Superman elbow, he's concussed. If he takes it in the head, he's out. Probably games. Now we're talking Martinich. He could be out with concussion for a while. And that's really tough. That's really tough to come back from if you get a concussion like that from a high hit. It's a good thing he missed. And honestly, if Trouba did connect on it, we haven't seen a suspension yet in the playoffs. If that connects, do you see a suspension for Trouba? It's just a tough look when you look at the replay, and a lot of people are saying it. Like, Pete Blackburn, Drew Livingston, like a lot of people are looking at that hit, and that's a scary incident. Because you go to that board's head first, but then also too, your elbow goes up. I don't know why your elbow's up like that, almost in a chicken wing. Like I said, if that connects, Martinich is out cold, and probably out for a couple of games at least. Because that would have been a legit concussion. But like I said, it's a good thing he missed, a good thing he ducked. Because that would have been very, very scary. So that's the only other thing we really got to talk about in terms of just the player performances in general, like what we saw on the ice. And, great job to the guys who did score. Like I said, Jake Guentzel scored twice of Dmitry Orlov. And that's it. Those are your guys who scored. And nothing else you can say about Freddie. I mean, he did what he could do. But we talked about in the first segment, there's only so much you can do in terms of special teams. That's all you can really do. But we are going to talk about some time on ice and kind of what we saw the trends going through the rest of the game right here in a second on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag on the play. You already talked about that. But there's just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get, like unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, and hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. And to include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now free on the Google Play or App Store. Game on. Welcome back to a third segment of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. So the last few minutes we have here, we're going to talk about, some time on ice and kind of the trends that we saw throughout the rest of, that double overtime game for the Rangers in the Hurricanes, where unfortunately the Hurricanes did lose 4-3 in double overtime thanks to a Vincent Trocheck deflected goal. So if we look at time on ice, Jacob Slavin did lead the team at 32 minutes and 34 seconds, and then his defensive partner, Brent Burns, played 31 minutes and 19 seconds, followed by Sebastian Aho at 30 minutes and 18 seconds, and then Seth Jarvis at 29:57, and that's kind of rounding out your four, and then Brachet at 29 minutes and 1 second, rounding out your top five. So it's really interesting to see what Rod kind of went with throughout how the game went, going through rest of regulation, going through first overtime and the double overtime as well. Kind of seeing the guys he really wanted to go with. Andre played 26:50, Jake Guentzel 26:39. You get kind of closer to the bottom. It's funny that the fact of where Seth Jarvis was at almost 30 minutes, but then you look at Jordan Martin played 22:17. He was on the second line. Jack Drew played 22:59. Even Jordan Stahl and Timo Teravainen played 23 and 24 minutes each. The thing that's really, really interesting is if you look at that fourth line for the Hurricanes in terms of just Barry Kotkaniemi, who was the center, with Max Comtois on his left wing and Steph Nason on his right wing, because of the fact that Evgeny Kuznetsov was out for game 2. Kotkaniemi played 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Steph Nason 6 minutes and 48 seconds. And Max Comtois at 6 minutes and 19 seconds. For me, it's kind of tough to look at that, where you look at the rest of the team where the next best after KK is 22 minutes in a double overtime game, and KK played less than 10 minutes. And even then, you look at Steph Nason, he played less than 7 minutes. And you're talking about a guy who's really good for your net front, who scored 3 goals in the first round, and he's playing less than 7 minutes in a double overtime game. Like, I know he's on your fourth line, and the fourth line is not probably the best line you have right now in terms of just the fact that, Kuzi's not there, he's out. So you throw in Max Comtois, who's his first playoff game with the Hurricanes and stuff like that. And yeah, it might be tough to look at, but it's like, that's still, it's not great when you look at the overall aspect of just where they're at in terms of those 3 guys have barely played through the game. Like, I think Max Comtois played like 1 shift in overtime, if that. And Steph Nason's usually one of your power play guys with your net front, and the net front wasn't really there, and the one guy who can get you net front on the power play wasn't there. And I think that's kind of one of the big questions you have to ask, and with Jeff Daniels as the power play specialist, coach, and looking at how the deployment is. And like I said, nothing to question Rod, because in Rod we trust and all that stuff, but it's kind of tough looking at the fact that your power play went 0-for-5 for the second night, and the guy who's usually pretty good on your power play, and Steph Nason, played less than 7 minutes. So that's something to really think about going into game 3. Is that if you want the power play goal, and you got to have Steph Nason on there, in my opinion. So I'm curious to see what the lines are going to look like when we go into practice and get ready for Game 3 on Thursday. But the fact that you had 3 guys playing over 30 minutes, and one of them was, Sebastian Aho, and Seth Jarvis was 3 seconds short of 30. So you could have 2 forwards over 30, and you had pretty much Slavin and Burns, Shea and Chatfield all over 27 minutes plus. Orlov almost played 26. D'Angelo played a little over 23. You had basically almost 2 forwards play 30 minutes, and then you look at your bottom line, and they didn't even hit 10. Some guys didn't even hit 7. So it's really curious to see. I know you're trying to push it's the playoffs, but the Hurricanes just get used to using all 4 lines, and it seemed like it was like they weren't playing with 4 lines all night. And Steph Nason not being kind of used on the power play a lot more when you have 5 power play chances, and he played less than 7 minutes. I couldn't even tell you the last time I saw Steph Nason have single digits, let alone to where you barely played not even like a quarter of a period. Like that, I don't know. That's tough. That's something to really keep an eye on. And unfortunately, the Hurricanes did lose Game 2. You're going into Game 3 on Thursday back home, and you're down 2-0. Power play is struggling. PK is trying to do as much as they can, but like I said, they giving up 4 power play goals in 9 chances. Hopefully, special teams gets figured out and go from there. And I'm really curious to see what Rod's going to do in terms of Ned. Do you go back with Freddie for 8 straight games, or do you finally go to Piotr? So all I know is Thursday's episode is going to be very, very interesting in terms of what we're looking at, in terms of whatever happens on Wednesday for the Hurricanes. But that will wrap up this Wednesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. I know it's a lot of just talking about Game 2 and stuff like that. Leave me know in the comments, who do you think your Canes player of the game was? Because for me, it's a toss-up between Jake Guentzel and Sebastian Aho. You could say Frederick Anderson just because of how clutch he was in overtime. But I would probably give it to, Jake Guentzel. 2 big goals, tied it, got you a lead in the second period. But I don't know. Like I said, in the comments, let me know who your Canes player of the game was. And hopefully, by the time we hit Thursday, the Hurricanes can come out flying and hopefully get back on the series on Thursday. Because if you get down 3-0, that's going to be tough. But we'll talk about that more on, Thursday's episode as we're going to preview that, going into that day. But I hope everyone enjoys this Wednesday episode of Locked On Hurricanes. Hope you guys have a good rest of your Wednesday. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me at OneTrueZach on Twitter. If you want to follow the podcast, that's LO_Hurricanes. My personal link tree in my bio, you can check out where you can find my articles at the Hockey Writers and the Calder Times, along with where you can listen to the podcast and watch on YouTube for the Surgecast, and as long as the podcast in the YouTube here at Locked On Hurricanes. If you're on the YouTube side, make sure to hit subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss a show. Hit the like button as well to let me know if you enjoyed the episode. Like I said, leave some comments to see who your Canes player of the game is. Make sure to share with all their Hurricanes fans, and hopefully they become everydayers just like you guys. Like I said, I love the support. And for YouTube, if we get to 1,000 subscribers, I might do something very cool for you guys. But until next time, as always, let's go Canes.